If you've been wanting to start flipping items from eBay to Amazon, or maybe you've already been flipping from eBay to Amazon for a while, today I've got an awesome video that I want to share with you because I actually got together with 5 of my eBay to Amazon flipper friends, and we filmed our first episode of our brand new show, which is called the Replen Roundtable Show. Try to say that 5 times in a row. The cool thing is, combined, we've sold approximately $5 million on Amazon over the last year, and specifically, 99% of that is coming from buying items on eBay and flipping them on Amazon. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoy our first episode of the show, and if you have any questions or any suggestions to make the show better, definitely drop a comment down below. But without further ado, let's dive into today's live show, and hopefully you enjoy.
Definitely. Thanks, Rakin. Yeah, Aaron Worley. I've been selling on Amazon for, it's been 3.5 years now. I was on another call with Flipping with Amanda, which just joined, and we were talking about how we started at the same time. And I sell a little bit on eBay and Walmart, but mostly on Amazon. I did about between the 3. I almost got 7 figures last year. So I'm looking at doing about 50% more than that this next year. So live in Oklahoma. And I got a family of 4 kids, and of course my lovely wife. But yeah, living in Oklahoma, loving the snow that we have right now.
And he actually spoke at the Books and Beyond conference, him and his whole family and all of his pets and everybody. They traveled the country in an RV, and he was running his eBay to Amazon business. So very, very impressive. Let's go over to the left. My main man, Tanner, the A2A and the E2A flipper from Kentucky, rocking the hat because he says it's negative 10 degrees over there. Talk to everybody about your story real quick.
Yeah, I've been selling on Amazon it'll be 3 years in April, but I've been reselling stuff since I was in high school. Like I had an eBay account flipping like video games and like anything I could get my hands on when I was in high school. And then in college, I was flipping like clothes, like streetwear clothes, just to like get by, to have money to go to the bar and whatnot. And then, always had somewhat of an entrepreneurial spirit and eventually got into selling on Amazon. But Amazon numbers last year, I did 270,000 on Amazon. That's primarily books and media up until this point. And then now I am transitioning into eBay to Amazon. As of this year, I'm 100% eBay to Amazon now. So looking forward to learning from everybody in here and growing throughout eBay to Amazon. And yeah, I am from Northern Kentucky area. I also have a 9-to-5 that I work in tandem with my Amazon business. So got a lot going on.
Love it. Love it. Also, he has a YouTube channel, The Junk Flipper, flipping a ton of junk from eBay and Amazon. Junk that makes you money, though, right? Junk that makes you money. So awesome. Awesome, Tanner. Appreciate it. Let's just keep going down the aisle in no particular order. We'll jump over to Caleb, who I met Caleb a couple of years ago. He's been coming to a bunch of the different events. Very impressive seller, has grown a lot. Tell everybody about who you are, what you do. And I remember when we first met, it was on a coaching call. You were in your basement, and now you've elevated to an office.
Yeah, honestly, that coaching call I was so excited about. I was like, I'm going to meet this guy. He, is doing exactly what I do. I stumbled across eBay to Amazon through a Google ad, and then luckily joined your community. And it helped so much getting questions answered. And, I would just say to anybody that has any questions, just ask away. One of us is going to be able to answer the question. And that just helps so much. I still do that today with my Amazon store. So I did 650,000 in sales last year, which was up from my third year, the year before, which was about 435,000. So each year I've added a little bit more sales, but I'm pretty much strictly eBay to Amazon. I have one virtual assistant who runs most of my business. He does a wonderful job, and I've learned how to not micromanage. And so that was a big deal. The business is profitable, which I come from a restaurant background. So knowing the business is profitable is also a big deal. And I'm just extremely grateful for it and happy to be here. And I'm from Flint, Michigan area. It's very cold here. There's been some snow. I don't think we got it as bad as everybody else, but yeah.
Well, great to have you here, Caleb. Thank you so much. And appreciate you sharing your story, man. And excited to see you continue to grow as a seller. My apologies to Robert. Man, Jason, I'm sorry for having to introduce you last, but I had Robert in the waiting room. I feel like a rookie. I haven't done one of these calls in a while. So Robert is back. Met Robert actually at the Books and Beyond event. Robert's a big bookseller. No, I'm just kidding. Robert and I have become really good friends, and he's connected with the community. Why don't you introduce yourself, Robert? Who are you? Where you're from? What do you do?
What's up? So I'm from New York. I've been selling on Amazon since 2019 when COVID happened. All the barbells and gym equipment was like crazy and the pools and all that stuff. Then that kind of died out. Started doing wholesale and well, that really just failed. Then did a little bit of OA with a bunch of virtual assistants and that really failed. Then I started doing eBay to Amazon after talking to Seth for years, saying, dude, you're freaking nuts for trying to do any of this. And then one day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And my first flip was like 260% ROI on like 8 units. Some kind of vacuum battery it was, something like that. It was nuts. But now I pretty much do everything myself, FBM only. I have one VA that I hired like 3 weeks ago, and I have one guy that works for me to ship out stuff. That's about it though.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, great to have you here, Robert. And yeah, appreciate you, man. Let's pass it off to the one, the only Jason Clark. We got to reconnect over at Jameson's wedding. Jameson Philippi, he's been on my channel a bunch. Jason and I, we've known each other for probably, feels like a decade, right? I feel like I had a nice full set of hair when we first met, you know, and now here I am walking on a treadmill live with, but Jason, talk to people about who you are, man. Share your story, man. Super happy you're here.
Yeah, I think it's been 9 years since we met, so it's been a journey for you and me. But full-time Amazon, just finished year 10. It's been a journey, like I'm sure everybody's. You know, you start with the usual stuff, the RA, OA, and look at wholesale and do this and that, and did okay along the way. But like most people with Amazon, you realize that the platform has gotten tougher over the years, and the margins can be really hard. So when I saw your program a few years back, I considered it for a year or so before I jumped in. I wanted to kind of line up a few things. So switched over, just finished 2 full years this Christmas in E2A. It was a great decision. So I've been scaling strategically year 1 to year 2 to now year 3. And things have been great. I'm a big goal guy and I dial things in and hit my targets year 1, hit my targets year 2. And, I know we have some big monsters in this community. And, I think I did really well last year, but, I get really excited when I find out there's a few more people above me that I can try to go after. And I'm going after them this year. I know I won't get all of them, but I want to move up to the top 3 or 4. So honestly, I feel like this model is necessary for a lot of people who have even been on Amazon for a long time, because how many $1 million plus revenue sellers have we seen in the last 5 years quit because there's not enough margin? So I'm grateful for E2A and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, Jason. And I guess, for the folks who are maybe new to the show, I'll introduce myself. I've been selling for about 10 years. I'm out of Connecticut. We just got about 2 feet of snow. I've been selling for over 10 years. The first 5 years was mostly thrifting and arbitrage and all that fun stuff. But about 5.5 years ago, I started, this crazy world of eBay to Amazon flipping, just like, most of the guys on this panel. And last year I did, I think, close to 750,000. And I'm in the same boat as, I think it was Aaron. You mentioned you're trying to do maybe 50% more this year. I'm already up 165% year to year from January this year to January last year. Because last year I had a terrible year because I really went on vacation in Q4, like at the end of my buying thing. So we'll see, man. I'm kind of in the same place. All right, guys, with that being said, let's get into it. Really the plan for today's show, and today's almost going to be like a trial and error show. I do have a little bit of structure, and my plan was that we're going to kind of go in segments. So we're going to start off by each one of us going around and sharing one of our wins and one of our losses for the week. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I want to be honest and real. Like a lot of people, they want to start an Amazon business, or maybe they're trying to grow, and they think it's just going to be a straight line. It's just all going to be beautiful and rainbows. And the reality is, to be successful in business, you're going to have wins and you're going to have losses. And I think a lot of us can win a lot more from learning from like our fellow resellers' losses and challenges. So we're going to go around the table for maybe about 10 minutes and talk about that. And then we're going to dive deep into the topic today, which is going to be common mistakes that sellers make when analyzing deals on Amazon. So when you're looking for deals and you're thinking about buying it, what are the common mistakes that people make? So we're going to dive into that for about 20 minutes. Then we're going to do about 15 minutes of Q&A, 15, 20 minutes. So if you guys have questions, you can ask them, and I'll be sure to go in for that 15, 20 minute period, and we'll fly through, answer questions. If I see anything, super dire that comes through, I'll definitely ask the group and the panel and whatnot, and then pretty much wrap up the show. So does it sound good? Ready to rock and roll, everybody? All right. Awesome, guys. And I see everybody live in the comments right now. Michelle, I see you. We got Shane in the house. Awesome. We got AG Chick. We got Robert Baker saying, Steve, let me in. I let you in. We got Zolo. We got Squeezer, Kevin. Some of these funny names here that I got to be careful. But let's dive right into the segment and let's go around the other way. Let's start with Jason. Okay. So Jason, you're a 7-figure seller. You're selling on Amazon. You've been doing it for a while. I know you and I have been talking behind the scenes. You have big plans, right, for this year. Over the last week, right, what's been one big win that you can share and one loss, or one, not even a loss, but a challenge, something that you feel like can help people who are watching?
One of the things I wanted to do in the first couple of weeks, which I did achieve that goal this week, was increasing the amount of replens that I have. Make no mistake, it doesn't matter how much money you made last year in this thing. I'm not saying you need more leads. You should consider wanting more leads. Now, I don't think every single seller wants that, but I had a fantastic year last year and I only had about 1,450 items in my replen catcher. Wanting to scale, I wanted to have more opportunities. So I put in a lot of hard work to call through a lot of different brands that I'm approved in and call through all the different things that come with kicking out specific ASINs and problems. And I got that up to 5,500 items in my replen catcher. Now, I know a lot of people will say that's excessive. That's okay. I want it to be excessive because it's just opportunities. So for me, that was a lot of work. It wasn't like, hey, I'll just pick a category, download everything in there and go, because there's a lot of negative results. There's a lot of BS. I'm not selling things for $20. There's no money in it. So there's a lot of culling, and that just took a ton of time. Honestly, it took me an hour or two a night, probably for about a week, to ramp that up. And at the end of working all day. So it wasn't fun. It was like doing taxes. It was brutal, but I'm already seeing the fruits of that labor. In regards to something that didn't really work out, one, I've wanted to finally get a VA on the admin side, but I keep kicking the can down the road a little bit because I need to finish up these little processes and improvements for my 2026. Because if I have 8 or 9 different things on my plate, even though they're small, I'd rather get those done in the next 2 weeks before I jump into what I know will be challenging to find a VA, vet the VA, and then work with them over a period of time. So that just got pushed back, and I'm okay with that.
Love it. Awesome. And we actually had a question, Jason, from someone asking, what are the risks to hiring, foreign virtual assistants and giving them access to your accounts? How truly secure is it? And I'll answer that. On Amazon, you can give user permissions. So if you're going to have somebody access your Amazon account, you can give them specific user permissions so they can't change your tax information. And then on eBay side, your credit card's stored in eBay. So obviously they could purchase on your behalf. I wouldn't give a virtual assistant, for you, Jason, as well. Like when you hire somebody, I wouldn't just give them full access to, all the complete treasure chest, but it's trust over time. You build that trust over time. So there's risk, but, move very, very slow. Caleb, what about yourself, man? I know you've been cold. You've been shivering in Michigan. Outside of the shivering, what's a big win that you can celebrate? Even if it's a small win, what's something that you can share, and what's a challenge that you went through?
Mm-hmm. Well, a big win recently was I stopped micromanaging my VA. Checking in every half an hour, asking them what they're doing. I was doing that for quite a while, and I think it put a lot of stress on our relationship. And my VA has done much better in the last couple weeks with purchasing and account management, which is a really big deal to be able to realize that he can run the business and to actually see kind of what Steve's talked about for a long time that have been around, how his VAs run his business. To be getting there is great. And it took me stopping micromanaging to let my VA breathe. So that was one. Another good thing that happened today, I sold 3 products for $2,000 with $1,000 profit. And they were products that the brand had messaged me about twice. And they hadn't sold in 6 months. I wanted to get rid of it. I'm so glad I woke up this morning to 3 of them gone. So that was awesome. And then something that wasn't so great is I had a big return. I made a big sale. It was a $700 return. And, those hurt. Obviously, you want to diversify enough and have enough different products to where returns don't hurt. And you're not all in, like maybe starting wholesale and just getting one SKU and going deep in that, and then having Amazon say you can't sell it anymore or something like that. So diversifying is a big deal, and sometimes returns hurt, but thankfully my returns, I'll throw this out there because I know some people are going to laugh at me, but my returns last year were a little over 16%. So just FYI, if you have return problems, I feel you. I understand. I've worked through that with eBay to Amazon.
Well, awesome, man. And, the honesty and the transparency is super important, and that's one thing that I like to do. I like to share the losses all the time in the group net profit. I'll get into my losses in a minute, but I love the transparency, and more people need to share the challenges, but also, on a good note, Caleb's buying dinner for everybody, right? Because of that big score. So we're going out for steak dinner tonight. Big shout out to Rennie in the house. We got Diane watching live, and I'd like to know, before we go into the next person, for everyone watching right now, I know we got about 25 people watching. Drop a comment. What was a big win that you had this week in your Amazon or your eBay business, and what was a challenge? Let's move on to Robert, man. I know you're winning. I know you're killing it. What do you got going on? A win and a challenge?
Things this month, basically, it's just been returns. I guess the lots I've been selling had high amount of returns. A lot of the products became obsolete over the last 3 months. I'm getting 20 to 30 returns a day to my house right now, which is just, it's pretty bad, but you know what? It is what it is, The other good thing now, I have the VA pretty much doing everything for me that I would like to get done. So he's pretty much spending every day he sends me a text, hey, how much can I spend today? I'll give him a random amount. Today was $500, and he'll spend pretty much up to $500 exactly. Which is pretty good. He doesn't really he everything he buys, he'll send me a message, hey, I'm buying this. He'll send me the keep it chart and all the stuff related to the item to make sure it's a good buy before he actually buys it, because he's still new. But so far it's been going great with that VA.
Awesome. So you've got the VA that's working out well, and then the returns are killing you. And what do they call it? Returnuary? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I'll jump in really quick and then move on to the next person. So my win was for January, I actually finally became profitable. Some people might be thinking, I share in my videos, I made $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. A lot of months I'm very profitable, but there are months where I don't make money or I lose money. I mean, my sales are down because it's January and I didn't send in a ton of stuff in December, and the returns are really, really high. So that's good. The good news is I did do between 15 to 20K net profit October, November, December. And then this month I finally turned a profit. I think I'm at $200. So it is what it is. It's a long game. It doesn't matter how you do in a month period. It's how much money do you make in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? And then the challenge, on the VA train, I've had a couple of VAs, and this is just part of the game. One of my VAs couldn't work because one of her family members passed away. And of course, I told them, I want you to support your family. Don't worry about working. But obviously the business suffers a little bit, but people first. So it is what it is. And I had another one of my VAs as well, who his son ended up in the hospital. And it's one of the things, you really care about your team, so you want to take care of them. But sometimes you got to put the business aside, because at least for me, without my team, I have nothing. So sometimes the business is a little slow, and it is what it is. It's a challenge, but just part of the game. Aaron, how about yourself?
So big win, like I do every January. So if everyone doesn't know, I have 5 VAs that basically run the show for me. And we had our big January meeting. I was able to share my New Year's resolutions. And what's also cool is hear theirs. So I challenged them. I actually sent theirs to them from last year. And so I was able to get them to update on what they had, the resolutions from last year, and then also set new ones this year. So that was a lot of fun. I think really the only negative, there really wasn't a whole lot other than just the weather. It didn't affect me here because all my stuff is in a prep center, but we did get a message from our prep center that stuff was being delayed a day or two. So I think that was probably the only negative thing I think this week that I had.
Jason, was your prep center delayed? Jason in the group, anytime he operates FBA, he has to say, I'm a merchant seller.
Well, I did wake up about a half hour late today because I was tired. So technically, yes.
Tanner, how about yourself, man? One win, one challenge, man. I'm interested to hear what you have to say, because you're in that growth phase, you're in that transition phase. I mean, you must be going through a lot of challenges.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I've been able to hit the ground running pretty quickly with eBay to Amazon, thanks to Steve, Jason, and you two in particular. I've been talking to a lot, and you guys have given me a lot of free game, and I appreciate you guys a lot. But also, like, I'm a workhorse at the same time. Like, I'm obsessed with like this business and wanting to scale. So it's been pretty, like, I've been able to catch on pretty quickly because there's a lot of similarities with A2A and E2A as far as like reading keeper charts and stuff. As far as like my biggest one, I feel like I finally have my VA like focused, because I was back in like, I hired her back in like mid-October, and I was teaching her how to buy books A to A, and then I made the decision that I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go in with E2A. So she hasn't been buying until, recently, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and well, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. But I feel like now over the last week, like I'm monitoring her buys every day when I wake up, and I really am, like, I'm very confident in everything that she's buying. She's only buying my replens right now, so not really going after any new leads or anything like that. Just stuff that I have vetted, brands and ASINs that I have vetted that I'm comfortable with her buying, and I have in my my own spreadsheet, there's like a pie chart of like the percentage of buys that I've made, and she's made for the month, and she's up to like 20% of the buys for the month. And my goal is to get her to eventually to buy half of what, I'm buying, so that we're, when I'm awake, we're buying a lot. When she's awake, she's buying a lot. So that's been a big win. The biggest challenge, I mean, not a crazy challenge, but the weather in my area. I am merchant fulfilled, so I have been having my postman, who I've developed a good relationship with, picking up my orders from my house and taking them to the post office to be shipped out. But he did not show up for like 2 days, so I had a ton of orders. Like, actually, like Sunday and Monday, the two worst days, had way more orders than usual. So I had to make a couple trips to the post office over those days, which is not an issue. I was doing that before they were picking up and whatnot. But yeah, that was fun. Just the snow, and then having to like get out there and shovel and make a path for my postman, like my beloved postman. So that's been the biggest challenge, I guess.
Awesome. Cool, guys. Well, appreciate you sharing the wins, the losses, the challenges. And I just want to remind everybody watching, running a business isn't what you just see on social media and everybody's just successful. It's up, it's down. It's one day you're on top of the world, right? And then the next day you're just in fear, right? And I remember Tanner, he put out a video recently where he had gotten Section 3'd, right? And before you were on top of the world, we were talking, and then you were at the bottom, in the dumps, and you beat that Section 3. So I just want to put this segment into the show, guys, to let you know that we're all going through challenges. And really that's how you get to the place that a lot of these guys are having success. All right, so let's jump into the main topic. I'm going to shout some people out in a minute, but today's deep dive topic is going to be common mistakes that sellers make when analyzing deals, okay? So I want you guys to all think, right? What are common mistakes? And this could even be for your virtual assistants as well. When you're training a VA, or maybe you have a friend, or, I've got my mom doing eBay to Amazon now, and she was over the house yesterday, and she's coming from the thrifting world. And it's funny how a lot of people who thrift, including myself, when I was a thrifter, I was like, I know it all. But then when it came to actually reading a keeper chart, I had no idea what I was doing. When you're getting into like online arbitrage and spending more money, you've got to understand a keeper chart, right? I'm going to save that for somebody else, but we're going to dive into those common mistakes. Okay. So let's start with Aaron, right? Maybe we'll kick it off with Aaron, whether it's your VA or it's somebody who's sourcing, doing eBay to Amazon or online arbitrage, because that's really our focus here, guys, is online arbitrage. If you guys have any beginner questions, feel free to ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question, but what is a common mistake you see sellers making when they're analyzing a deal? They see a deal, but it's a common mistake.
Yeah. So I've actually wrote a couple of them down. One of the biggest ones that I've had my VAs make a mistake on is the pictures. So most of us are E to A sellers. And so when you're looking at the eBay picture, not paying attention to if someone is open box or not open box, if the tape is missing, or if the package is opened, and then also the mismatches from what the picture at eBay looks like compared to what the Amazon picture looks like. Some things are discontinued, or some things they remanufacture in a different box, and so it looks different. And so you got to think about the consumer when they're getting something. They buy something on Amazon, and it's supposed to look like whatever this is. and it's either open or it looks completely different than what they're buying, they're going to not like that. They're going to want to return it. So that's probably one of the bigger ones that we've come across.
How do you like, do you have any systems in place? Like, for example, are you double checking your virtual assistant's purchases at the end of the day? How are you catching these mistakes? Or is it just having conversations with them over and over again, make sure to do this or that? Or do you have like a checklist?
Yeah, so we have an SOP that actually my manager created. Like I said before, my VAs basically run the show. So if I come across something, I'll shift it to my manager. We actually had this happen back in September and October timeframe where I had one specific VA that just was not paying attention enough. And so I saw my return rate spike. I mean, it was up almost near 20%. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I had to go deep dive into a couple of the sales that they had bought. And we were able to basically go over the SOP with all of the VAs and say, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what needs to be done. And so we've gone from almost 18 to 20% return rate to now we're down to 12. Over 90 days, it's average, of course, about 14. But yeah, December, I've only had a 12% return rate.
Wow. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for those tips. And Bill in the comments, what's up, Bill, is saying, for some reason, my VAs would not look at the seller description on the bottom of the listing. Seemed like it took a few months to cure it. And yeah, I've noticed that before too. A lot of times on eBay, someone will say the item is new and it'll look new. They'll have one picture and then in the description, just so you know, the corner's all smashed up. Mike Tyson gave it an uppercut. Oh, okay. Thanks for hiding it down there. That wasn't intentional. Cool. Awesome. Jason, let's start off with Mr. Jason Clark, the Las Vegas champion. I don't know. My first show. I'm rusty. What's up, Jason?
You just touched on it, not reading the description. I'm guilty of that. I source really fast, so I'm guilty, but I'm trying to reduce that. But to parallel with that, looking at the photos, look for the UPC, make sure it matches what is linked up with the lead that's taking you to the Replen catcher ASIN on Amazon. There's so many different makes and models and variations, whether it's a board game or something for your house or whatever. And what they'll do is they'll probably copy and pasting, tagging on somebody else's eBay listing. So the eBay description product identifier is showing a different model that is very close, and it's not going to match the exact listing that you think your lead is pulling you to the ASIN on Amazon. It's going to give you false positives. You're going to buy things that won't match. You're going to find brands where one of the ASINs is good to list, and the one you end up getting is one that's restricted for whatever reason. It's going to bog you down. This is your fault, your VA's fault. You have to take time. I'm guilty. I do it too. Look at the photos, and worst case, if you don't see the UPC, you just got to go with what you see on the box of the item and hope it matches. If it doesn't, that's 100% win rate for returning to eBay. And sometimes these people will complain to sellers like, hey, it's the same thing. And you're like, no, you use the product identifier with this UPC, which autofills all that information from eBay because they use AI and whatever. And what we received is materially different. It is wrong. It is not the same. And per eBay's terms of service, it has to go back for a full refund. They will lose that case 1,000% of the time. And you spout that to them, rarely will you get them to complain after that, because at that point, you've got them. And, you know, ultimately, you're going to get things that you get that aren't going to match because maybe the photo didn't show the UPC. I'm not going to sit and go back and forth and go, hey, can you send me a photo of the UPC? If it's a good deal, I'm going to buy it, because worst case, if it doesn't matches, I'm going to open the claim. It's going to go back. They're going to lose it, whether they don't respond and you got to wait to 10 days or whatever. You're going to get your money back anyways. It's annoying, but most of that is our own fault by just not having us or the VAs look at that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jason. Caleb, I'm curious, will you mess with stock photos? If the item is a stock photo, the description, the title looks good, the eBay seller has good feedback, it's an item you could buy for $38, flip it for $83, looks good, it's a replen. Will you mess with that item, or you send a message before, or just go with it? Or, you know, like Jason was saying, hey, it doesn't come described, fine, I'll return it. What would you do in that situation?
Yeah, it's a little extra work. When I first started, I would have just potentially passed on that or not trusted it. But as I learned to message sellers, it's certainly worth just messaging the seller and asking for photos. If you do that, they're likely to send a photo. I'd say 7 or 8 out of 10 times they'll send a photo. It's certainly worth it. I mean, some really good deals come from stock photo listings on eBay where you have to get pictures of the item. Something I ask all the time, if there is a new seller on here, to make sure that there's not a broken seal on the box. Like I sell tools, so a lot of tools don't have a seal. So there may be open boxes on eBay, and that might worry you if it's an open box. But just imagine it's at the store. Would you still buy it if you could open it and look at it? But if there's a broken seal, I don't personally buy items with broken seals, and I have to ask sellers all the time. So I get used to messaging sellers. It's actually something I wrote down to tell people a mistake people make would be not messaging the seller and asking if they have more inventory, or all sorts of things you can do just to chat with them. I did have something that came to mind that I think would be really helpful, that has helped me a lot about 3 or 4 times in the last month. And that is using ChatGPT to figure out if the eBay listing is the same as the Amazon listing. Sometimes there's been some question marks. Maybe the packaging is different. Maybe I'm assuming that Amazon doesn't have the same UPC because it doesn't list all the product UPCs, because every product has many UPCs. And so I've actually uploaded eBay's photos into Amazon and Amazon's photos as well, along with the title and description, and had a conversation with ChatGPT. And I do that when it's going to be like $300 in profit or something. I'm like, well, that would be worth taking 5 to 10 minutes to make sure. And I don't trust AI completely, but if it can walk me through and then show me how it knows, I've purchased those items and it's gone well. So I would leave that as a mistake, would be not digging deep enough and where there's opportunity, but you just have to get a little below the surface.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Caleb. That's a great tip. I'll jump in real quick and say, for beginners, this is a big one. And this was, a tip I was talking to my mom about, because she's been getting into eBay to Amazon now, is making sure that when you are analyzing a deal and you're plugging in your numbers, maybe your buy cost is 20 and you say, I'm going to be able to sell this item for 60. Making sure $60 is actually a price that you can most likely get, or somewhere within that ballpark. A lot of beginners, they will, see the buy box at 60, but they don't realize that the buy box is maybe overly inflated. Maybe there's no history of that item selling. Maybe it's just a kind of like an outlier, or maybe it is selling for $60, but it hasn't sold in 9 months, right? Everybody's business model is different. I know people, especially a lot of booksellers, they like to buy and hold their stuff for 6, 8, 9 months and make a huge ROI. And I think that's great. But I think a lot of people, they're buying products with overinflated buy boxes, very slow selling, and a lot of downward pressure for the listing to tank. I was, again, back to my mom. I was showing her a listing yesterday where it was a transformer item. And I think you might've been talking about this too in the Reselling Freedom call, Tanner. I know you were looking at some transformers. There were some transformers where the transformer was selling for $100 all day long. And now it's down to like $40 because a bunch of OA sellers must've come on and tanked it. I mean, it went from 5 sellers to 60. So if you get on that roller coaster, I can almost guarantee you're not getting the price you think you're going to get unless you are the first one in or the last one out. So that's my tip right there. Robert, what's on your mind, man? Any common mistakes maybe that you made in the beginning, or your virtual assistant, anything that is just, very common?
First few mistakes I did was buying a lot of, at that time I was selling Fitbits. And the ones I were buying were not even on the app anymore. So they would sell like crazy. Like they're buying for like $20, or sell like $100. But they would get returned every time because the app was like dead for that device. So after that, I really learned that you have to kind of like really read the reviews and research what you're buying. Because it might be profitable, but it's an item that's now dead. So now I make sure like I always read the last few reviews on Amazon, because usually that will give me a key of like, hey, this item's crap now. And that seems to help a lot.
Who else lost a bunch of money on the Facebook or the Meta portals that got discontinued? I got killed on those things. Yeah, Caleb did. Yeah. What do you got? Christmas gifts? You're going to piss everyone off for next year? No. Yeah, those, the funny thing is about that item, my friend Curtis, he's not here, but he's a pretty big E2A flipper. He warned me about it. He's like, whatever you do not buy these things. And I'm like, dude, I just freaking got like 10 of them. I'll be fine. I've been selling them. I guess I don't know, maybe Robert could explain it better, but I guess they discontinued updating it or something. So everyone just returns it now.
I didn't sell any of those ones. I was selling like a lot of like watches and smart devices and stuff like that. And a lot of them, I guess over time, the manufacturer just kills that app for them. Like there was one VR thing I was selling for Star Wars, I think it was, by Alvina, whatever it was, the brand. It was selling really well, but the item was obsolete for the last like 4 years. So during Christmas time, it was flying because it was a cool thing. But afterwards, every single one got returned to me. So that kind of sucked. But
Well, that's a great reminder. Check the reviews. I've got some items that are highly returned, and it's like, why are we not looking at the reviews? It's like a 2.4, 2.5 star.
well, even now, like a lot of the times, if the item sold a lot, it might even have like 4.5 stars, but the last like 10 reviews are just saying it's dead, the item. So you have to really check the last few reviews.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got to add that into my SOP. Tanner, what about you, man? You are growing a lot right now. You got your virtual assistant. I forgot what her name was. I'm trying to remember.
Irene.
Yes, Irene. Any common mistakes she's making, or any advice you can give to the folks out there?
Yeah, I think we're both me and Cyrene are kind of learning together, right? Like it's, I come from used products, used books. I did some used media, CDs, DVDs, and we're in new products now. So it's like a whole new territory. It's pretty much everything besides used media. And, a lot of products are different. I think the main thing that I've got a better handle on it now, what I want to do, but like she struggles with like, products that you can sell as open box, but like understanding if like sometimes the open box is like the box itself is like beat up, or maybe something inside is like could potentially be missing, or like sometimes they come in like these little plastic baggies and then they don't have all the plastic baggies or the user manual or whatever, you know what I mean? So like, I think that's something that I haven't given her as great direction on. She asked a lot of questions about it, so I would be curious to know what your guys' thoughts are as far as your SOPs with that, as far as that goes. But that's been kind of like a struggle for her. She asked a lot of questions, but I basically just tell her like, look at the sold listings on eBay and look at the most pristine, brand new sold listings off of eBay, and if it's not like close to that, then just like don't buy it. Like if it's an older, like some of these older discontinued, items, like the pack, especially for like toys, sometimes the packaging is like brown, like turning brown on it. And I'm like, I don't want to buy that if it's like turning brown, you know what I mean? It's gotta be like, have that clear look still. So, again, like I forget who said it in here, but like the presentation is key to everything. Like think if you were the consumer, if you bought this new, would you think twice that, hey, like this has been opened or whatever, you know what I mean? Like just making sure that it's actually new. So that's been kind of a challenge.
How particular are you guys, on that same note with the condition? Like Jason, I got to see your operation. I came to Vegas. I won't share any, confidential information, but the guy's running a legit business. How far will you push it with no invoices, but the guy's running a business? How far will you go with condition? Like sometimes I get, like these little brother, it's not toner, but it's like these little label makers and stuff. And sometimes like the hard plastic could be like turning brown, like you're saying, or like there's a nick or there's some damage. And, obviously there's terms of service we have to follow, but will you guys push it a little bit and, test things out? I know we're live right now, so I know everyone's trying to be, careful in case Bezos is listening, but share what you can share.
So yes, presentation is important. It doesn't exactly matter how you receive it. It's how you ship it out, whether you're FBA or merchant fulfill. And I say that because there are a lot of items like Lego where the corners are nicked up a little bit, not dented, not creased. There's no paper loss, and other different items that you replen. So you know exactly what's in these things over and over again. Markers and clear circle stickers are your friend. That is a huge tip, people. Huge. You'll have somebody sell a Lego set for $15 cheaper because it's got a little nick on the corner. There's a 184 marker set on Amazon for $69.99. It's got every color under the sun. You'll get real good at tapping those corners or whatever. I don't care how good it looks. If I see some white on the corner, I'm tapping it. There are certain colors we use a lot, black, darker colors, whatever. Nintendo Red is number 10. How do I know that? Because I use it all the time, right? It is a dead match, right? Certain things that come that have a clear circle sticker, they're open box. There's lots of photos on eBay. You've replumbed this item over and over again. You know exactly what's in there. You know that the manual's wrapped in a baggie or whatever the cords are wrapped. Basically, you're like, this thing is brand new. Somebody opened it. They took the circle sticker off. It didn't tear any of the paper off the box. It's new. It's just they opened it. I have different size circle stickers. It goes right back on there. I assure you, it is exactly how it was. They just opened the box, and I do not get returns on those because it will look the same going out as they should receive it. You know, so there's so much value in cleaning up your products. You know, they just are. I mean, you've got to look at the photo and say, yeah, that's a little bit too much. I'm not going to touch it. But a lot of these little nicks and stuff in the corner, very easy to fix. That's a huge tip.
So as I was saying, like if it's like a tool item, like a HVAC tool system where it's kind of meant to not really be the cleanest item itself in the box, you know, sometimes I will get an item that's not the cleanest, but it still sells well. And I don't really get returns. It's just like a tool item or like a part for some kind of machinery. Those buyers don't really care as much from what I've seen. Versus like a brand new toy, they want it to be like pristine, clean looking. Versus like a tool, they don't really care as much.
Yeah, it's even the same with DVDs. Like, you know, and that's the thing about buying on eBay. Like sometimes you have to make a decision, like, am I going to return this and have to go through the hassle of it? Or is it going to be okay if I ship this out, right? You know, I have like some little stickers sometimes, like clear stickers. And I think Diane was mentioning that as well. She says, I love the circle stickers that, you know, I'll put over like a little nick, or what are those like white stickers that are like childproof. I forget what it says. It's like I forget what it says. I don't even prep my stuff anymore. I have little auto prep doing it. So like I can't remember these things. It's been a year and a half, but I used to put these little stickers over it to hide like little imperfections. But there's a difference between a little nick on a $30 Lego set versus a $500 retired set. There's a difference between a $40 DVD versus a $300 DVD set, which I've sold before. So you've kind of got to weigh it out.
Do you guys have Little Owl putting like circular stickers on or anything like that? No,
I don't know if they would do that, to be honest with you. Like I was even talking to Jason at the Books and Beyond conference because I have some items that they were just getting returned all the time. And he's like, the reason you're probably getting returns is because like I sell some like office supplies and some tools that come in like little flimsy boxes. And he's like, well, if you have them double box it, you know, it'll probably get returned less because it's probably getting smashed up. And I'm like, I know Little Owl Prep will do it, but some of these things are a little challenging to like, how do they differentiate between which one they should and they shouldn't, like putting on the stickers, like they're so streamlined. I don't bother them with that, but yeah, I'm sure you could. Aaron, do you do any of that stuff with Little Owl Prep? You have them do extra little special things for you?
No, I never have. I know with some of my past prep centers, they've offered that, but I don't know about Little Owl. I think Jason's ready to hop back in, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I've never had to bother with that. I have, like you said, in the past when I was prepping much of my own stuff, I did have those little circle stickers. I've never done the markers, so that's kind of cool. Some little tidbit, but no, I've never worried about it. And I think Jason makes a good point if it's double boxed or something. But you really got to look at the product. I mean, if you're really having that big of an issue, then maybe stop selling that product. It's kind of what your risk tolerance is.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, let's get into some live Q&A. So I see a couple questions in the chat. If anybody has any questions, we got about 10, 15 minutes we're going to be on for. So if you have any questions, ask in the comments right now. I do see a comment that came through that I'm going to pass off to Caleb right now, coming from our good friend Amanda, Flipping with Amanda. If you guys aren't following Amanda, go check out her channel, Flipping with Amanda. She talks Amazon, but she is the Walmart queen. Caleb, Amanda wants to know, what's an underrated category? Okay, we're talking eBay to Amazon flipping right now. What is an underrated category that a lot of people are like, there ain't money in that category? Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say tools. I don't hear anyone really talk about it very often, but I do very well with tools. They don't get returned often. The condition of the box doesn't have to be perfect. They're higher ticket items. And when I say tools, I kind of just mean commercial products in general, kind of like maybe a handyman would order, or, you know, something you might see at a job site. I don't know. It's just commercial products in general. They're not really returned. They may be bought by businesses. They're returned less, and the profit margins are good. I would say tools, and I would just throw a little tidbit in that the perfume category has to be FBM, but it never gets returned. I might have had 1 or 2 out of 100 sales returned. So that would be my suggestion from what I know. tools and perfume.
Love it. Love it. Anybody else want to share on the panel a underrated category? Anything come to mind when you're thinking what categories are doing well, but people don't think they're doing well? I'll say DVDs right now. I love flipping DVDs. The thing with DVDs is you've got to be quick. You got to be very, very quick with DVDs. They sell very fast, but I'll throw in a tip. A lot of the DVDs that my team source is because we're making best offers. Reminds me of like when I used to be a thrifter. People would skip those books. They would skip those products without a barcode because they don't want to take the time to look up the ISBN number. I feel like a lot of people don't want to take the time to make a best offer. And, I've got stats to back it up. A lot of times 30 to 40% of our best offers get accepted. Obviously, the more aggressive our best offer is, if we're really lowballing them, you can't expect, a high conversion rate. But, you can take a look and, see maybe you've done business with them before, or maybe you've purchased a couple other items from them and you could throw some best offers. Maybe you could win some combined shipping. You could even send them messages if they don't have a best offer option and ask them, hey, would you be open to doing a deal? And, there's a lot of opportunities there. Thoughts on used buy box? Are people still flipping books, Tanner? You are the book man. I've heard that people are still having success with it. It almost seems like from an outsider's perspective, like I'm not really in the book gaming anymore. It sounds like everyone's just like jumping ship, but I see people sharing they're still having success with it. Do you know what's going on with it, Tanner?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things going on with it. But it's still 100% possible. I just think it's harder for newer sellers. If you're not like cracked out with Keepa, there's a lot of price tanking and there's a lot more competition with the used items, in my opinion. I think a lot has changed. So the logic has changed to where like it's basically kind of like the new buy box. Like used merchant sellers are competing directly with FBA sellers. So when it used to be the lowest FBA used seller would win the buy box pretty much every time, regardless of condition. So that has changes the competition a lot. You have to analyze the merchant sellers and the FBA sellers. When I was sourcing for the last 3 years, I'm just looking at, all right, who's my FBA competition, right? So that's a big issue. The other issue is acceptable condition books are not winning the buy box like at all. They like Amazon, unless you're literally the only seller on the listing, you're not winning the buy box as acceptable. So 10 to 20% of my buys come to the prep center in acceptable condition. So it's not, to me, unless it's a seasonal book, you could send it in if it's like a high school book that you bought for like $20 and you're just waiting 3, 4, 5 months till it like, the mountain peaks at like 50 or 60 and you sell it, you can sell it there. But if you're sourcing like all year round books, acceptable condition is just not going to win the buy box. So that's a huge issue to me as well. And on top of all that, the sell through of books has just never been there, right? So I think that just makes it a lot harder, to really scale. There's 100% like I think there's a position to be a point to be made where there's a lot of people leaving the category. So there's like I think when a lot of people are leaving, there will inevitably be less competition. So there'll be more opportunities there for the people that stick it out and really figure it out. But I don't know, me personally, speaking from experience, I've had already thought about doing eBay prior to the buy box changes, and it seems like it's sticking around. It's a permanent change. So I saw the writing on the wall sort of this time, or like the end of last year. So I wanted to diversify, and now all my eggs are in the E2A basket instead of diversifying. So I don't know. That's just kind of like my 2 cents of what's going on. It's definitely a little bit more difficult. It's not impossible. Obviously, people are Joji, Victor. I know Bill was in this chat. Bill sells a lot of books still. It's definitely possible still, especially for seasonal. But I think the all year round stuff is going to really hurt because you're fighting for very few sales with 2 times the sellers now, I think, merchant fulfilled. So interesting. Well, thanks for the breakdown. Very, very valuable. Good to know. And for folks watching live, let us know what your experience is. But Jason, speaking of, sell through rate and, items and the buy box and whatnot, how's the buy box for you as a merchant seller? Because I'm FBA. Tanner, you're merchant fulfilled, right? Robert's merchant fulfilled. Jason's merchant fulfilled. I know, Aaron, you're FBA. Caleb, what are you?
I'm 80% FBA, 20% FBM.
Gotcha. How does the buy box work for you guys right now? I think everyone here is new, right? Selling new products. For the merchant fulfill, obviously for new FBA, you know, it's pretty solid. It's never been better. I mean, I don't think it's changed at all. It's not better or worse. It's just, it is what it is. How's the buy box for merchant fulfilling new doing eBay to Amazon, Jason, if you want to kick it off? Because I know nothing about merchant fulfilling.
So to me, one of the biggest fallacies as an Amazon seller is you have to be FBA to compete with the buy box. No, you need to be aggressive in your pricing and your repricer, problem solved. If that tanks your product, oh well, that's why you have hundreds of products or more, diversify. It is what it is. You know, there's Robert, I know he's done crazy volume. There's other people who are doing crazy volume. They'll back me up on this. You know, you can outbeat it. You know, so, you know, would you rather, you know, pick up 3 nickels or 1 dime? Sell, be aggressive. You know, you got to remember there's only so many people looking for that item that day, you know, and if you want to potentially get that sale, you probably need to be in the buy box at least a good amount of time. So for me last year, I was consistently 65 to 71% in the buy box for most of the year, as a 100% merchant fulfill seller, which is pretty crazy. And no, I'm not giving things away. I buy right, I list it below, I have an aggressive repricer, I want it out and gone, right? Sure, I'm gonna lose, some things are gonna go down and they're gonna tank. That's okay. I'm not running a museum. I'm here to make money. I'm here to turn and burn. Now, if your capital is limited, you may have to slow up a little bit on that aggression because you know, you might get all your money in right away. And, you know, it just depends on how you want to run your business. For me, it's volume. And as you get better using the E2A software and you get better at what you do, you're going to be able to make adjustments. So be aggressive. You know, I don't care if Amazon's on the listing. Sure, I'm not chasing after every listing Amazon's on, but I have no problem going after them. But I will kind of build in a little extra margin knowing Amazon's sitting with 30 plus units. You know, usually if Amazon's got 30 plus units, it's probably a pretty good seller anyways. And unless I've got a whole bunch of that unit and I'm only got 1 or 2 or 5, whatever, I'm just trying to trickle them out. If I can sell 1 a week, whatever, that's fine. You know, it's not a big deal. You know, our friend Jameson, I talked to him today, you know, there's so many people play the penny game. Honestly, I think it's a sucker's game. I honestly think it's a sucker's game. I really do. Now, if you're sitting on 300 units and you know it's going to take 6 months to sell through, yeah, you can't just tank it down really quick trying to sell the first 10 units at a profit because you're going to be sitting with 494 other ones not making anything. So there is a little bit of caveat to that. But if the majority of your stuff, you know, is you got one unit to 5 units, try to be aggressive, try to get those things out. And I'm not talking medium to long tail items. I'm talking things that sell a decent speed. I'm not saying 100 rank, it's flying off the shelf. I'm just saying normal, decent moving items. You know, I think that's a big mistake for people. They're like, why is my stuff not selling? Because you're not competing in the buy box. You know, look at Inventory Lab or Seller Board or whatever software you guys are using and to see what your buy box percentage is at a snapshot for your entire inventory. And I'm not saying you have to be at 50%. I'm not saying that. 25, 30, 35 is fine. You're going to move units. But if your buy box percentage is 8%, 10%, 12%, I'm sorry, it's just slow. It's just slow.
What is your guys' buy box percentage? I want to say mine's in the 30s. When I did OA and I started 4 years ago, it was like 8%, like you're saying. But I'm curious what your guys' percentages are.
It's usually around like 55% or so.
How do you check that?
Your FBM.
For people who want to know.
But also, what a lot of people don't realize though is if you have inactive inventory in your store, that percentage is based off that too. So if you have 1,000 SKUs but only 200 active, you have 800 that's now going to count against you.
Oh, really? Even if it's zeroed out?
Yep.
Interesting. Well, I don't have that problem because I clear out my zeros every morning.
Me too.
Which I've blocked in the room plenty of times, you know. So
I feel like I'm more concerned with my sell-through rate than the amount that I'm winning the buy box. I guess if my sell-through rate really started to suffer, I would dive. I've never really tracked like how much percentage I'm winning the buy box. I mean, I guess I could look. Where do you guys look for that number?
I think your repricer can tell you too. Like I don't know. I hover around like 40 to 45%, but I do have like still like have like 900,000 books at FBA right now. So it's like a good I'm like I still have a lot to sell down. So it's a little skewed.
My buy box is right on the dashboard. My buy box percentage. It's right on the dashboard. I didn't even set it there. It's just automatically there on my dashboard.
Which software are you talking about, Caleb?
Amazon Seller Central.
Okay.
Like the featured offer percentage? Is that what you're saying?
No, the buy box percentage. Are we talking about the same thing? Maybe we're talking about something different.
Yeah, I think featured is, I don't know what featured is, but I'm looking at Be Cool right now. And for last year, out of 7,000 orders, it was 48%.
I think featured is different. Maybe somebody can speak to that. I think featured is always a lot lower for whatever reason.
The featured offer on Seller Central is what Amazon thinks your buy box rate is. So if you have a lot of empty SKUs, for like a one time I had like 80 SKUs and I was the only person on them. My featured offer on there was like 95% pretty much on that time. But I think what featured offer it is on Seller Central, it's basically the buy box rate that you win. But it also does account for inactive SKUs as well. So it's usually not as high as your repricer is.
What about your sell-through rate, guys? Like say you have 1,000 items in inventory. How many are you typically selling per month?
I usually try to sell at least like half of it.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Oh yeah, at least.
And usually after like a month of it still sitting in stock, I start dropping my price aggressively. But after like 2 months, I just make my minimum price like $10. And if it sells, it sells.
I was close to, I think it was 69% in 2025, according to GoToLister. I don't know how accurate that is, but it sounds about right. And I'm the same exact way. I mean, if my stuff doesn't sell within about a month, I get very, very aggressive and that's the difference that everybody has to understand when you transition from like thrifting to spending $20, $30, $40, $50 on an item. Jason, what happens when you buy an item and it sits in your store for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months? Is that money that's working for you, or is it dead money?
No, and if you're FBA, you're paying storage fees, although not a lot, but multiply that times the other 100, 500 items you had, and those nickels and dimes turn up to 100, $200 a month, and then you get into Q4 where they say, hey, we'd like you to welcome you to Q4. We're going to triple those storage fees from October 1st to whatever, and then the bill can get really nasty. So I use Informed Repricer, by the way, and it's right on the dashboard. It'll show you the number of live units you have, any percentage. So like right now, mine is artificially low because I've just been buying a lot of new things and loading them up the last 2 weeks. So it's playing catch up here, and I'm at 41.95%. But normally that's going to be in the 60 to 70% range. So that will catch up once it kind of gets normal for me. So.
All right, guys, so I want to get on to the last question because we're kind of getting to that time. We're going to wrap it up. And I know this question was from Shane Mooney. He actually posted in the eBay to Amazon Facebook group. So for anyone here interested in learning about, eBay to Amazon, everyone here is in the group. You could tag us. You can chit chat, whatever. Shane asked, hate to sound like a broken record, but I live in fear of a Section 3 IP complaints and counterfeit claims. So any pointers they can that the panel can share to avoid these or successfully overturn them, that would be wonderful. So, I mean, maybe we could just go around and kind of end the show with something real positive. Any tips or tricks? For me, I'll start off by saying, I try to stay away from items that are too popular, that are selling too much, that are selling too fast. I try to stay away from listings where you can tell there's a bunch of wholesalers on it. Of course, if the brand's on it, I mean, things that are just way too popular. I mean, I sold over 7,000 items last year, and I don't know the exact number, but I'd probably say 80 to 90% of the items I sold are probably selling less than 25 times a month. That's just my guess. I could be wrong, but I'd say more than 50% of the items are probably selling less than 10 times per month. Caleb, you want to go next?
This would be something good for us eBay sellers or eBay to Amazon sellers, is that Amazon doesn't mind our business because at least we're not selling a bunch of counterfeits. And a lot of wholesale is counterfeit. And Amazon knows that. And eBay to Amazon, I mean, you can buy a counterfeit and you should be very careful about that. But typically it's not counterfeit on eBay. It's like a big garage sale. And there's just a lot of good deals on there, people just listing stuff. So of course, be careful, make sure you buy from good sellers on eBay. But as far as the Section 3 goes, it's just the worst thing in the world when you have a lot wrapped up into your business to get your sales shut down for an unknown amount of time. But not having an invoice is nothing compared to selling counterfeits. So just be careful you're not selling counterfeits. If you do something wrong with Amazon, just admit you're wrong, apologize, try to move on, just tell them what you're going to do differently, like the plan of action they ask for, and just be honest. And hopefully you're not making mistakes on purpose. That's what I would, if you do, I would just admit it, that you shouldn't have done that. But if you're not doing anything wrong on purpose, then just talk to Amazon, just talk to them and keep opening cases over and over and over again, and just keep having a conversation about how you're going to do business the right way next time. I've had to do that numerous times with Amazon in different ways, and it's worked out for me. So I hope that helps.
Love it. Love it. Anyone else have some thoughts and ideas? I know this is a hot topic. Don't be shy, guys. I know it's our first show. All right.
I would say, like, I went through one. So, and I beat it within 6 days. I went very, very hard at it. It was stressful, but like, it was literally my only priority for that week. But I would say, one, have a lawyer on, you don't have to have one on retainer, but like at least have a light introduction to one. So at the Books and Beyond conference, Avery Romer the Romer had mentioned a lawyer, and I think Steve also uses the same lawyer. And I actually reached out to Steve when I got to Section 3, and he linked me with this lady named Michelle, who actually lives in Kentucky. So we got to connect on that because we both live in the same state. She saw my 859 area code, which was funny, but when I called her, but she gave me a lot of really good information and, really mentally got me prepared of everything that they could possibly ask me on the call. So I think one thing would be like, worst case scenario, if your business were to go down, like what would your game plan be? Like have things in order, like your articles of organization, your like all your EIN, everything that you get from, establishing your business. I know we don't work with invoices here, but 60% of the invoices that I submitted were eBay invoices. So I did have about 40% Amazon invoices because I was doing A-to-A flips, but the majority were eBay invoices. They asked for 140 units of worth of from 3 different ASINs, 140 units. And I had 3 PDFs of each ASIN, and I had screenshots, the Amazon invoices towards the top, and then the eBay invoices towards the bottom. And each of them had letterheads stating exactly what the account health specialist was about to read, or whoever reads.
Just watch his video, guys. Watch his video. Okay. The junk flipper, watch it. I'm telling you, go to YouTube, download the transcript, put it in the chat GPT and say, teach me how to be a freaking ninja, because this guy killed it.
Yeah. I would just say, just be prepared. Like, just think like, I thought I was invincible and bulletproof until I got Section 3. And it was literally the second week of Q4. So I don't know. Have a lawyer on retainer. Be prepared. Have your stuff organized. It's not going to happen to everybody, but it did happen to me. And I hope it doesn't happen to me again. But yeah.
Aaron or Jason, talk Shane off the cliff. He's at the edge and he's like, man, I see all this E2A money, but I can't sleep. I want those invoices. I tried to pay for them at the grocery store. Couldn't buy any food for my family, but what are you going to do? Sorry, guys. I put a post out in the group the other day. Some people know what I'm talking about. What are you guys? Talk him off a cliff.
Well, first of all, I'm actually happy he's scared, because you should be. And I don't mean that to be negative. I say that to be positive, because you need to go in to this model with the attitude that you're playing defense. So with every single item you buy, you need to go through the motions like it's your first time. What does the seller's feedback look like? He's brand new. He's got stock photos. So if it doesn't smell like smoke, he's got this brand new super hot DVD, like Steve says, and he's got 50 copies and it's 30% below everybody else. That's probably a problem, right? If it looks funny, it probably is. You got to look for keep-it drops on everything. Now, once you get used to that, that ASIN for a while, I don't think you need to check. If you're selling a Lego set and everything looks good and you want to sell it over and over again over a period of a couple months, I don't think you need to check it every single time. But if it's maybe some of these more obscure brands or something, you probably should check it, because they may not have had drops, but maybe now they do. You have to treat this model with the passion to make money, but also the passion to stay alive. I don't think anybody wants to sell counterfeits, right? But I think people don't go through the motions, and you can check feedback and keep it drops and whatever and make a buying decision in 2 minutes. So it doesn't, you'll get, it's like riding a bike. You'll be real fast at it. Good. No smoke. Okay, we're good to go. Right? It's not that hard to make the buying decision once you just learn a couple quick steps to do it and just wash and repeat every day. I can tell you one of the first things I look at every single morning, and for 10 years, is I look at my account health, the very first thing. And I hate clicking that button in the morning. And it's not so bad anymore because I know I'm going through the motions of doing all these things every single day, that most likely there probably won't be something there. But eventually there will be. And I get flags like anybody else, and they could just be dumb flags, and you'll address them if they need to be addressed. And most of the time, they may not even be anything serious. But if you're doing the things ahead of time, you'll probably be a lot better on the back end,
This might have to be our next topic for the next show, because I feel like we can really dive deep into it. And it's probably...
It really is. There's so many good sellers in the room that I know are making a lot of mistakes, and I'm like praying, I hope they don't get blown up. I hope it, because they're good and they work hard, and they want to succeed, and I want them to succeed. And I could get blown up tomorrow. I can assure you, if I get blown up tomorrow, it'd probably be bad luck. Why? Because it happens to all of us when you're selling on Amazon, and maybe I'll make a mistake and I just didn't catch it. It's going to happen. But I'm actively trying not to do that at scale every single day. And that's fine. And that's the price of admission to get this, in my opinion, incredible model with unlimited amounts of access to product with higher ROI. That's the limited price you have to pay. Just be smart. Just be smart. That's it.
And before we pass it off to Aaron, I'll say this. There's two things in common that I've noticed amongst the people who have gotten Section 3'd or got a bunch of IP complaints and actually got eliminated from Amazon. I mean, gone, didn't beat it like Tanner. One, they were flipping a lot of crazy stuff. I'm not going to name names, but there's people that I'm not very close friends with, and there's people I am very close friends with who they're gone. And it's because they were playing with fire. They knew they were playing with fire. They were juggling it. Eventually, something bad's going to happen. And then number two is they did the opposite of what Tanner did. Tanner, when he got a Section 3, he dropped everything. Man, I watched your whole video, dude. You are a psycho. You went laser beam into, I am ignoring everything besides this problem right here. And the people that I've noticed who actually are, I keep saying eliminated, they got a Section 3, is they don't present the invoices nicely. They don't create a nice file. They don't hire a lawyer. They don't treat it serious. And I think for some people, it's kind of like, they're like, you know what? This is the universe telling me it's my time to go. And, I'm not here to get into the universe or religion or anything, but some people are like, it's my time and I'm just going to give up. And 95% of people who don't give up and don't make those mistakes, play with fire and actually fight the Section 3 hard, they win. But there's always a 5% chance of, I always say this in my videos, you could be driving and the car could hit you and you're gone. I mean, there's a risk there. But Aaron, anything else you want to leave off this call with, this beautiful sentiment?
Well, I mean, I can't speak too much from Jason. He made a lot of good points. But the one thing I would say is, if you're starting this model or starting selling on Amazon, period, is you gotta go slow. That's what people do, is they go too fast and make mistakes. Amazon can actually see you're going too fast, and they got eyes on you. If you're going from 0 to 100,000 selling in a month, they'll have a lot of eyes on you. So if you work it slow, it is a slow game. It is not a huge money maker from day one. That's how you protect yourself the best, is what I would say.
I was going to say, Aaron, that's not going to help me sell my $25,000 course. This is a get rich quick overnight. No, I couldn't agree anymore, honestly. So awesome, guys. Appreciate everyone being here. I know Robert, he's got some kiddos running around and stuff. So I'll say goodbye on behalf of Robert as well. But everyone, I appreciate you all being here, everybody watching, of course, everybody on the panel. We're hoping to maybe do this once or twice per month. I know everyone's busy. Everyone's working hard, making money. But yeah, any final words you guys want to share before we head off and call it a night?
I just want to say I was happy to be here, and I'm just really grateful to meet all of you and hear from all of you. I'm just one of the listeners too, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
Absolutely, guys. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Maybe our next call, we'll dive deeper into account safety and health and all that good stuff. But yeah, guys, have a good night. Thanks everyone for coming on, and we'll see you in the next one.